Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to The Subject Matter. I'm your host, Stephen Jenkins, here with your co-host, Mr. Jonathan Dane, and special guest, Michael Jenkins. We are experts in nothing here to give you our thoughts and opinions on all of it. So if you saw the post last week that we made, we've officially switched to an every other week release. And as is the case, Jonathan and I are extremely busy this coming week, but we still wanted to get you an episode, which is resulting in what you see here with the different layout. We decided that it would be better to get some content out so that people can listen, even if it's not exactly the way it normally is. And I honestly don't think people are going to notice too much of a difference, but we'll find out. So we have a returning guest this evening, my brother, Michael Jenkins.
My favorite Jenkins.
I was going to bring that up, but you beat me to it.
For you.
He's my favorite Dayton.
That's right.
For the record.
Yes, I've been told this. Tonight we have 3 questions that are going to be asked. And these 3 questions, we've done this type of idea before, but it is going to be a hypothetical question night. And instead of doing a whole bunch of different ones that we come up with on the spot, we've each prepared 3 separate hypothetical questions that we will be discussing heavily. So we can take time to discuss these and play devil's advocate for ideas that we don't even agree with.
Sure,
to keep the conversation going. So we'll try to go for, a couple minutes each, 10 minutes max, and we'll go from there. But the first question, which is not a hypothetical, it's a literal. Who would like to start with their question? And I'm more than willing to start, however.
I can go.
Okay, guest question first. What is your question, Michael? For the record, this came up because Michael, I do too, but Michael loves asking hypothetical questions. He was the one for our 50th episode who asked how many geese could you fight off if they were spawning in?
Which your grandfather absolutely loved that question.
Our grandfather greatly appreciates that question.
And asked it to the entire group of people.
He now associates geese with me.
Yes.
I'm not sure if that's a good thing or not, but it's kind of funny.
Well, and the other thing that I found is that not a lot of people 30 and older know the word spawn.
Yes, that's also true.
When he said that they're all spawning in, we knew what we were talking about.
Yeah.
A lot of people that old don't
know. Fair enough. So.
Okay. All right, Michael, what is your question?
Would you rather, I guess it's not really would you rather, but which do you think is better in a practical way to have as a superpower?
Okay. I'm not going to have to rethink my question.
I apologize. Well,
it's okay.
Good thing I went first.
It's okay.
Super speed. And when I say super speed, we'll say faster than the speed of sound.
Okay.
I think that's good. In the range of faster than speed of sound, but not quite speed of light, because then you get into time travel and stuff. Mm-hmm. We can even say halfway. I don't care. Sure. But you can't go faster than the speed of light because then you get into time travel. That's no. Mm-hmm. Or the ability to open up portals anywhere around the world. Now, the catch with the portals is you have to be able to visualize the place. You can't just say, I want to appear in, the FBI headquarters or whatever. You can't just open up a portal. You have to know what it looks like. If someone just shows you a picture, you can use that to open up a portal. Okay. If someone showed you a picture of the Grand Canyon, you could get there because you saw the picture. But if someone says just appear in Alcatraz, you couldn't just do that unless you have a picture.
Fair enough.
Okay. So now, because I obviously have to ask some clarifying questions.
Yes.
Does with this super speed come with the necessary ability to perceive things in slow motion? Because one of the big things that people talk about, if super speed was a real superpower, you would likely end up splattering yourself to death because you can't see where you're going because your mind cannot process that quickly.
You can perceive things in slow motion, yes.
All right. Jonathan, do you have any starting off points? Because I pondered this question. Michael and I have actually debated this question before heavily.
Yes.
Well, I also have a clarifying question.
Yeah.
So super speed, you think of, if you travel fast enough, you can glide over certain things, you can move over certain types of terrains. Mm-hmm. Would you be able to move over top of water, or would you be able to, and flying is a whole other skill, but would you be able to go over water, oceans, things of that nature with the speed?
I would say yeah.
Okay.
I think if you're going, I
think the caveat there is that you're also going to, let's say you could probably run across still water or even semi, raging water a little bit, but maybe big waves in the ocean you're going to struggle with a little bit because you're trying to navigate through them.
And also, you have to keep in mind, you have to be able, like, if you stop and you sink in the water, you're not going to be able to probably just get out.
That is another good, because we're taking time to talk about this. That is another good question: is stamina. What is your
I think your stamina is going to be like kind of related to how your stamina is as you are, just scaled a little bit better. So like, think of how long you could probably run straight right now.
Mm-hmm.
So like, if you can run for, let's just say 10 minutes without getting super tired, you could run with super speed for that long. But that relates to how in shape you are.
Well, and then also it's okay, that makes sense.
Okay. No, it's like, because let's say someone can run a mile in an hour, the scaling doesn't work the same way. Like, you can't just say, well, I can only run a mile, so with a super speed you can only go a mile. You can go.
It's about time.
It's
not
speed.
Time,
sure.
Right. It's about the time of your stamina.
Time your distance.
Okay, Jonathan, do you have any other clarifying questions?
No
I think that's the question time that we have. We have to have some clarifying questions.
No more clarification. I'm good.
So I personally, and my question was going to be a different form of this question, not quite the same thing. But my dilemma that I've always had is whether I would choose between super speed or flight. So for me, super speed is a power that I've always wanted to have.
Okay.
I am still going to. I understand, and I will hear Michael's argument. I've heard Michael's argument about the portals. I'm still going to make the argument for the super speed.
You're wrong.
Because
that's one of my favorite.
The super speed argument for me comes down to that you're traveling so fast, you can accomplish, maybe not in quite the, based on the caveat that Michael gave, the further distance you're going to go, the slower it's going to be if you have the super speed.
Okay.
Because a portal can go from here across literally to the opposite end of the world in a second.
Okay.
Your super speed,
you go to
based
Mars
on,
if you want,
right,
technically.
exactly.
You die, but you could.
Right. Based on the rules that he gave, because of the super speed, you are a little bit more limited, so you are going to make it there less fast than you would.
True.
However, I think of, in terms of everyday life, the ability to, and this is my big thing for super speed, even less than traveling long distances in a short period of time, which is great. My big thing with the super speed is the literally getting to slow time down around you and operate within that area, within that time slowed down zone, if you will. They call it, in a TV show, they call it like flash time, where you're literally perceiving everybody else around you in slow motion. For me, I think that can make you extremely productive, because you can get a lot of chores done in an instant, and you can wake up and you can basically get your entire workday in an instant. Not in an instant, but go ahead.
Issue with like saying you get chores done. Some things will not also be done. Like, let's say you want to vacuum. Mm-hmm. The vacuum's not moving as fast as you.
Correct.
So that's not going to make a difference. Like washing clothes or doing laundry. Folding, maybe that would go a lot quicker, but you still have to wait on the washing machine. Those things can't go quicker.
I hear you, except with the washing, again, you have to think, because I'm thinking about all the different options here. With the washing clothes, there's probably a new efficient way of washing.
Probably.
Where you could get it done that quick. You wouldn't have to put it in the washing machine. At the very least, drying, you literally just take your clothes and you run with them.
Which is true.
Now they're suddenly dry.
But another issue you kind of run into here is you yourself are still going to be, maybe you're going super, super fast.
Mm-hmm.
But because of the way you're perceiving things, like, it's still going to feel like you're taking that same amount of time
to do
things.
To me, that's less relevant than the actual time that it's taking during the day to do so. Plus,
to me, it's me not feeling like doing it because it's going to take a while. Because, like, I'm going to have to be doing it for a while in my brain, if that makes sense.
Except
now, the time that passes isn't going to be the same.
Except you just added a whole number of hours to the day, though.
Which is true.
You have more time every day. So even if it will take longer, perceptually it'll take you as long as it normally would. But now you have all those extra hours that you didn't spend doing it.
It's the perception of it that I dislike.
Fair enough. If it's about the perception for you, I can see that.
So is the perception your argument as to why portals are... What is your argument for portals?
So my argument with portals is I think they are just so useful. Think of any time you want to go anywhere.
Okay.
Not only do you have to account for driving time.
True.
we'd probably spend like a solid eighth of our lives in some sort of vehicle.
Probably.
Or something close to that.
Mm-hmm. You're right.
You spend a lot of money on gas.
True.
Especially currently, you'd save like a lot of money from just, not driving places.
True.
If you wanted to travel to another country, airfare is ridiculously expensive. You could save so much.
True.
Mm-hmm.
Not only that, it would also be very beneficial in any like combat or dangerous scenario, because if you're in a fishy spot, you can just portal and escape.
True.
Or portal someone else into Antarctica and problem solve.
True.
There are a lot of benefits to that. Also, and I know you're going to have a point with this one as well, if you wanted to take multiple people, I feel like it would just be so much easier to open up a portal for everyone to go through, as opposed to using super speed, grab one, take them there, grab one, take them there, and doing that. Plus, we also don't know, technically, the effects of the speed on other people.
Some people may not like it. Add.
Is having someone without the superpower, would they have...
If I picked you up with super speed, are you going to light on fire? Basically.
Right. Because you're moving so fast and you don't have the power.
We'll say for this scenario, no. Then nothing would happen to me. If you were dragging me with super speed and I hopped on a portal, nothing would happen.
Based on the caveats that you gave, I would actually agree with you that the portal is better for multi-person travel, for sure. However, I think with those daily benefits of not having a car and all that, and I still think that you're going to get enough benefit out of the super speed because you can run wherever you need to go. And I think that, and to your point about combat, I'm going to say that because even if you're in a combat situation, as we've all been in combat situations, if you're in a combat situation with that lightning perception that you have, you can see attacks in slow motion and you can move to react to them in slow motion.
I agree.
It's like spider sense. You could literally, since we're saying it's just above the speed of sound, it's less so. But you can probably dodge a couple bullets with faster than the speed of sound.
No,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Bullets aren't traveling that fast. And so I think with a portal, someone aims a gun at your head and they shoot, there's a chance you could open one quick enough, but for a fact with that super speed, it's just going and you're having a Quicksilver moment.
Well, no, and I do agree that like the speed in a combat scenario I think would be overall better than the portals. I just feel like with portals they would be so much more enjoyable to use in other day life, and even like using a portal to just open up somewhere in the sky and you can just skydive for free, open up another one and you can fall through it to get back down. Like obviously you'd have to tweak it with the physics and stuff, and if you're falling through a portal super fast and you open one up, you're going to go through it with the same force, so you have to like counter stuff, but that's kind of irrelevant.
So Jonathan, which one would you pick?
Yeah. Okay, so this is actually really
It does depend. I will say it does depend on what your goal is.
So it does depend on what your goal is.
There's three things that really talked to me during this conversation. And actually, ironically enough, I was actually going to have a super speed first before hearing who believed in what, because I thought that speed would be the better of the two. However, the clarifying questions, one, this is point one of three. So when you said that you have to picture the place to get there, you can't just think of a location and just spawn there. You have to physically think of that location. For me, I was thinking, well, I don't really know of every place in the world. If I want to travel to Italy, I don't really know what I'm going to look at to create a portal to go there. However, books, pictures, easy. Google, find a picture, get there quickly. Problem solved.
Google Maps.
Absolutely. Second thing, combat. I'm thinking, yeah, you're right. Super speed in that situation, I would choose speed over portals in combat, but I'm hoping that I'm not going to be in a combat situation. The likelihood of me going into war and battle is going to be significantly less. It's still a chance, but significantly less. The third argument that I have for siding with portals is I always found that, and I always heard that, and I truly believe that time is money and time is value. And so if I could eliminate getting on an airplane or even eliminate having to spend hours among hours in a vehicle, I would go with the portal. Now, speed is going to get you there quicker, but when you throw in the stamina thing, you're not going to,
you're probably not going to get across the ocean.
That's the point.
With stamina.
Globally, like I said, if I'm going to go to the UK, I'm not going to be able to get there just by speed.
Yeah.
If I go up north and cross the top where it's a little bit thin, potentially yes, but in generalized situations, I'm not going to be able to cross to Europe. And then to Antarctica and vice versa. So having the portal ability would be most beneficial in, I think, that situation. The other clarifying questions did help, but initially I did think speed. I thought speed for a long time. I think would be speed and flight are the two things that I've always thought of as being great superpowers. However, portals I think would be more advantageous of using and more beneficial in my life. However, with that said, I think that even though we could sit here and argue which one is better, it also depends on the person a little bit.
And what you're trying to do with
what you're trying to accomplish with your life, which one you'd actually choose. And for me, it would be portals, mainly just because I think I could save a lot of time traveling, business negotiations and deals and talking to people and networking than I would with the speed. However, I think the funniest would be to have speed. I think that'd be super, super cool. But practicality for me is the portal.
Yeah, I can respect that. I can certainly respect that.
And I did say, like, I think when I asked the question, practicality of these powers, not just which one is better. It's just like in the practical sense.
Yeah,
if you're talking now, of course, if you switch it into which is the best for combat, I would pick speed.
Speed beats.
Yeah. So it really depends on what you're going for. So when I asked the question, I said practicality is like that's the point of this. Like which one is more practical for you?
I'm not sure if you did or not, but we can say that that's the case. The one as the minority, I will say the two other things I'll say in favor of super speed. One, with the stamina thing, your stamina is going to get much better over time because you're going to be doing it a lot, and you just naturally, you're going to get in shape really fast having the super speed. True. And then the other thing that I would say is, and this is not necessarily in favor of super speed in this situation, I will say that the limitation we put on super speed as far as the stamina and all that goes, that does certainly hold it back. Because I think as soon as you take that caveat away, I think
even if you took it away,
but I
would still side with portal.
But it's not. It's also just not. It's not really realistic at all to say you don't have. I mean, obviously, none of this is realistic. But trying to be at least semi-realistic with like how things would work in a practical way.
Well, not even the stamina thing. More the speed cap. The speed cap is more what I'm referring to.
The speed cap. I mean, I guess if you wanted to argue it, you could say you are able to get faster the more you do it, but realistically, still putting it into scale of like, take the slowest human in the world to the fastest human in the world. Like the scale just isn't going to be.
What I meant was like if you were to up the speed scale to something like the Flash, to like the speed of light, then you are basically going to rival the portals in terms of how fast you can travel.
And that's why I did. Which
I
wasn't trying to be biased to the portals.
No,
but you're getting into a territory of like time travel and stuff with speed of light.
I accept the premise of your question as laid out. I'm just making an extra statement as far as super speed goes. All right, Jonathan, you want to go next? Do you want me to go next?
It doesn't matter.
Go for it.
Okay, so hypothetically speaking, if all of us at some point became the most powerful person in the world, we'll say at this point it could be two things. You could either be the richest person in the world, or you could be the president of the United States. What are some things you would do? First, you have to pick which one you would choose, whether you would be the president or whether you'd be the richest person. And then what are some things that you would immediately do and try to accomplish? It can't be like 15 things. It's like pick one or two things that you would immediately do. So you have torn question between president and rich. And then what are some things, just hypothetically speaking, that you would change or do with your money or power?
Well, I started last time. You go for it.
Okay. So that's difficult because part of me wants to say the president, but realistically, the president is still limited by other things. True. Like saying you're the president doesn't just say you can make any law you want and have it just exist. There are things set in place so that can't happen. So if you were to say you can just become like the ruler of the United States for however long to change these two things, then that's a bit different. Okay. But
so the stipulation is just president.
Just president.
President.
As is now. President as is, term limited, 8 years max.
Now, go ahead. I have one more clarifying question.
Yeah, sure.
When you say richest person in the world, are we basing that off of what the current richest person in the world is?
Net worth. So we'll just make up. I don't know who it is.
It's probably like it's like currently Elon Musk.
It's currently Elon Musk.
Billion.
Okay.
Probably something around
there.
Whatever.
I don't know why I looked this up the other day.
I just know this because I like money. Which is part of the reason why I would just choose money, because that's also just more personal, and I feel like you could do maybe better things with that. So picking two things. One, and this is kind of broad, so if you say it doesn't count, that's fine. But I would say set up something for... Actually, before I ask this, I should ask a clarifying question.
Sure.
Can I only do 2 things with this money, or can I just say, like, save it for future things?
I thought you said it's just...
Because if it's just the 2... Because technically...
Two immediate action items.
Two immediate actions. Okay. I would say first one is... I won't choose, like, setting up a future for my kids and stuff, because
Okay, then, gosh.
Well, because that kind of becomes, like, putting money into multiple things. It's not like one immediate action, so to speak.
You can't set up a trust and say that the trust is going to then do 15 different things later.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So I'll ignore that.
Could you just say, I'm going to set up a trust?
You could just say that if you wanted.
Okay, all right.
If you want that to be one of them, sure.
All right.
Well, I'll keep it more interesting, because I feel like that's a pretty generic answer.
Generic.
You're going to do that at some point.
That would be what I would do with the money.
Yeah.
But immediately, I would buy a private island.
Okay.
One that is possible to live on. Like, it's furnished, so to speak.
Yeah. Okay.
So it has a nice house, like a beach house, and like little what are they called, villas and that sort of thing.
I like it.
Just a really nice, comfy private island.
Sure.
Also secure. I mean, I want it to be secure.
Yeah.
Like, if a storm comes through, a hurricane, I want it to be able to stay strong.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
not just go under the water. And the other thing... See, that one's tough, because I feel like once you buy a private island, you're just kind of happy.
Yeah, I'd be happy to.
With buying things. But with that, something else I may say, like, just give it to people who really need it. I mean, obviously you'd still have, like, money for yourself, but help out, like, just help family, I guess, would be one way to say it. Family or friends. Again, that's kind of a boring answer as far as that goes. But in terms of buying things, I feel like when you're trying to buy one single thing, like you buy an island, what else? Like, that's a pretty big one thing to buy. I'm not going to say buy a Nintendo Switch, because it's like $300. Even if I want it, it's not a big purchase. If I was going to get another big purchase, it'd probably be like a private jet or something like that.
I can respect that answer.
Island or private jet, something like that.
Do you want to take it, or do you want me to go?
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, you go.
Okay. He always says it doesn't matter, and then it's up to me. Okay. So I'm going to argue. I'm also going to go with the richest person in the world, because I'm going to argue that I don't want to say this with 100% certainty, but I'm fairly certain that the richest person in the world probably has a little bit more power than the president. Not necessarily politically, but
money
there's a lot more
talks. Money talks. Talks
There's
to me
a
a
lot more factors that go into it, and my area of interest is going to be far more in that side of things.
Okay.
So the very first thing that I'm going to do, and I don't know how to do this because I'm not a billionaire, but the first thing that I'm going to do is set up my anonymity.
That's a great...
I don't want to be known as the richest person in the world. That's the first thing. Because I don't want...
That's a good answer.
I really like that.
That is a very good answer.
I don't want to have to figure out who I can trust based off of them knowing that I have that much money. I can be an okay judge of character if they know me as Stephen Jenkins.
You have enough money, you can just kill him.
Yes, we could do that. But I don't want to be known, and I want the people around me, save for my very few close people, to have no clue that I have that much money. So that's the
good,
first.
yeah.
That's the very first thing that I'm going to do.
I mean, you can't just hide it from everyone. I feel like
there will be signs, as the meme says,
for something.
But I think that the second thing I would do then is, and I have multiple ideas of what I would do. I'll just say the first thing that's coming to mind is basically do my own sort of study on how people perceive of that much money, because I think a lot of people think that it is a crazy amount of money. It's more money than anybody would realistically be able to properly spend. However, I would seek to, because people have made statements before about you could accomplish, A, B, and C for this amount of money. And a lot of people who have that much money say, no, you could not. And with the money that I had at that point, being content with significantly less than that, I would basically give all that money anonymously, but basically throw it at whatever those things that they're saying you could fix with all that money are, and see if they're actually right. Because that would, one, teach me what to do with the rest of my money. It's not even one. That is the main reason is that's going to teach me what I actually can accomplish with the rest of my money. Because if they're correct, and you can solve world hunger with that much money, right? If they're right, and you can do yada yada, and for all these unfortunate people with that much money, then I'm going to do that. Because at that point, I feel like it's my moral obligation to do so. If I find out through this one case study that really isn't a feasible option, at that point, I'm not going to back off necessarily from doing charity work and things like that and trying to help where I'm going to. But it's not going to be to that same extent, because at the end of the day, I'm not going to burn through money when I know I can put them other places that it's actually going to help.
I like it.
That's good.
That's
I like
good.
that.
The main thing is the anonymity.
I do like that.
That's
the anonymity, that is very good.
Answer.
That was something I didn't think about, because I just always assume no one's gonna know.
I personally
I don't want them to. If I just have this money, I mean, I guess this is a very late clarifying question, but does all this money just appear in my account and no one, no banks or anything are like, hey, why is that there? It's just in my account.
The banks are gonna automatically be flagged. They're gonna know, okay, this person now has this much money. They don't have the power to question it. They're just, you walk in, they're like, hello, Mr. Jenkins. Would you like?
In other words, they're not gonna track me down and try and question me. Okay. Well, I feel like if that's the case, the anonymity would just kind of already be there, unless you yourself put it out for people to see. Because if you just have this and the bank knows it,
because
it would be hard.
Even with that much money, at some point, taxes or records are going to catch up to you, and your net worth is going to pop up on some chart or Forbes list, and eventually you're going to know you.
Unless you specifically set it up so that doesn't happen.
For some point in time, you could remain anonymous, but eventually, without creating a
genius idea, just spend it all before that happens.
Which personally, I assume that even the top listed person for richest person in the world, I assume there's probably at least some people more wealthy than them who have set up their anonymity. I don't know,
maybe.
But it would make sense to me that when you have that much money, you can afford to be unknown.
Yeah, true. That's valid. I agree.
So,
I agree with that.
I've torn a little bit with this question, because when I think of it as, what could I do to help the American people the most? But then I thought about it, what could I do to help the globe the most? So, American people, how can I help the country the most? Then, I thought about, globe. The president can only do so much. And they'd be really focused on the United States and helping those folks do things. I would think about doing a lot of policy changes if I was president. Now, if I had much money, then I could do things that could help a lot of people in the United States, maybe not from the policy level, but then expand my help to the globe. So I also will go with the richest person. I'll make the first comment that, someone in our area, just down 15 minutes away, won $300 million, and we have no idea who they are, and we probably will never know who they are, and they've given money out to the community, and we give anonymously, and so they have set up their anonymity, then we'll never know. So it's possible. So richest person in the world. So first thing I would do, I would create a foundation to give out to other places. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say who or what that's going to be. I would just simply say, create a foundation to do that stuff. Second thing I would do, and I again said that time is money and is very valuable. I would get a private jet, and there's probably better things that you could do with the money than a private jet. But so I watch this TikTok guy that sells luxury jets, and for some reason that just I love the idea of having a jet to just get on a jet and fly wherever you want, because that saves time, and flights are so dang expensive. Yes. Now, is that the best second thing that I can do with my money? Probably top 10. But not the second best. But that's what I would do.
No, second best.
Second best.
Yep.
Because you would have a lot of money left over to do other things with. But immediately thinking two things that I would do to impact the globe and help myself and be a little bit selfish, but also that selfish purchase could help thousands of other people.
If you're that rich, I think you're gonna
would be the jet.
It's people far less rich than that have private jets. I think you're doing all right.
Yeah. I know.
So we're going to stop there, guys. This conversation was good enough that it actually went on a lot longer than we were initially expecting. So we're going to be back in 2 weeks from when you're watching this with the second part. I'm not exactly sure where we cut it. We have 3 total questions, so we might have cut in the middle or we might have cut for the last one. But Michael's over here making terrible gestures. But thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing. As always, we don't have an outro, and we'll see you later.